The 2026 PGA Championship at Aronimink Golf Club in Newtown Square, Pennsylvania, was already shaping up to be one of the most anticipated majors in recent memory. But before a single tee shot was hit, two massive stories exploded onto the scene and completely changed the conversation around this. One story involved a list of missing names so long and so significant that it forces a real question about the state of professional golf. The other involves one of the biggest stars in the game dealing with a physical issue that had fans genuinely worried heading into the week everybody had been. And the remarkable thing is that both stories landed at exactly the same time. First, let's set the stage, because Aronimink is not your typical modern major. This is a Donald Ross design, restored by Gil Hansa and Jim Wagner, and it plays as a par 70 measuring roughly 7,394. The course features 176 bunkers, massive contoured bent grass greens averaging around 8,200 square feet, and thick fescue rough that punishes even slightly errant shots. This is not simply a long, brute force course built to reward the biggest hitters. It is a championship test shaped by rolling land, awkward lies, and the kind of strategic discomfort that asks players to think clearly under major pressure. Aronimink last hosted this championship in 1962, when Gary Player won at 2 under par, and it now returns to the major stage in genuinely historic fashion. Into this setting walked a star-studded field headlined by defending champion Scottie Scheffler, two-time reigning Masters champion Rory McIlroy, Players champion Cameron Young, and a deep supporting cast, including Jon Rahm, Jordan Spieth, Xander Schauffele, and Bryson DeChambeau. But the field also tells a story through who is missing. And that story is a big one. Tiger Woods. Start with the name that always hits hardest. Tiger Woods is not at the 2026 PGA Championship. The four-time PGA champion, winning in 1999, 2000, 2006, and 2007, was on the cusp of making his first start in a major since missing the cut at the 2024 Open Championship. Woods spoke openly about his desire to compete at the 2026 Masters, but that plan collapsed in late March when he was involved in a rollover crash in Jupiter Island, Florida, colliding with a pickup truck and rolling his Range Rover. Woods was arrested and charged with DUI, with property damage, and refusal to submit to a lawful test, and has since entered a plea of not guilty. He has reportedly traveled to Switzerland for a 90-day rehab program following the incident. The 15-time major champion has not competed since, missed the Masters, and his timeline for any return to competitive golf remains completely unknown. A PGA Championship without Tiger still feels strange no matter how many years. Phil Mickelson. And then there is Phil Mickelson, the two-time PGA champion, lifting the Wanamaker Trophy in 2005 and again in 2021 at Kiowa Island at the age of 50, has played in only one tournament all season, a tie for 48th at LIV Golf South Africa. Mickelson announced before the Masters that he was stepping away to deal with a personal family health matter, and he did not get into specifics. He was initially listed in the PGA Championship field, but quickly withdrew, with Max Homa replacing it. "I wish I could. I can't, unfortunately," Mickelson said. "I'm hoping to play the rest of the year after that, but honestly, I don't know." For the first time in a long time, fans are looking at a major championship without both Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson. That is two eras of golf simultaneously absent from the same event. The injury casualties. The missing list then moves into players whose absences are entirely tied to physical health. Jake Knapp, the world number 39 and the highest-ranked player not in the field this week, withdrew due to a persistent thumb injury. This is a player who had been building genuine momentum on tour, including winning the 2024 Mexico Open, and his injury had already forced him out of back-to-back $20 million signature events at both the Cadillac Championship and Truist Championship. Missing a major on top of that is a significant blow to a player who was playing some of the best golf of his career. The loss of FedEx Cup points, world ranking points, and major championship experience at this stage is the kind of setback that can completely interrupt a breakout season. Then there's Zalatoris. In his first 9 major appearances, Zalatoris recorded 7 top 10 finishes, including runner-up finishes at the 2021 Masters, the 2022 PGA Championship at Southern Hills, where he lost in a playoff to Justin Thomas, and the 2022 U.S. Open at Brookline, where Matthew Fitzpatrick beat him by a single shot. But persistent back injuries have largely derailed what was once one of the most promising careers in the game. After undergoing a second back surgery last May, Zalatoris has fallen to 334th in the world, has played only 4 tournaments this year, and may go an entire year without competing in a major for the first time since 2023. At 29 years old, that is genuinely difficult to process for anyone who watched how dominant he was just a few years ago. The ranking casualties. Tony Finau is currently only the 3rd alternate and is expected to miss his first PGA Championship since 2014. This is a player who had a streak of 33 consecutive major championship appearances before failing to qualify for the Masters earlier this year. His ranking has now slipped to 117th in the world after some rough finishes, including ending dead last at the RBC Heritage in the 82-man field. He finished in a share of 31st at Quail Hollow last week and needed a win to earn a spot at Aronimink. That did not happen. Tom Kim is another name that raises eyebrows. At just 21 years, 3 months and 24 days old, Kim became the youngest player since Tiger Woods to win 3 times on the PGA Tour at the 2023 Shriners Open. Now ranked 142nd in the world, he has dropped sharply after a difficult stretch and is missing this year's PGA Championship entirely, though a tied 6th-place finish at Myrtle Beach recently suggests he may be finding his game again. Sergio Garcia, the 2017 Masters champion, misses the event for the 3rd time in the last 4 years. His world ranking has dropped to 184th, and despite a runner-up finish at LIV Golf Virginia and a 52nd place finish at Augusta, where he also broke his driver in frustration and received a code of conduct warning, he was not able to earn his way into the field at Aronimink. The LIV conversation. The LIV golf dimension of the missing list cannot be avoided. Lucas Herbert won the LIV Golf Virginia event and climbed to 89th in the world rankings, which will get him into the U.S. Open, but it arrived too late for the PGA Championship. Carlos Ortiz finished tied 4th at last year's U.S. Open at Oakmont, the best major result of his career, yet he still could not qualify for Aronimink. And then there is Anthony Kim. After disappearing from professional golf for 12 years, Kim returned in 2024 and won LIV Golf Adelaide in February for his first tour victory since the 2010 Houston Open. He is currently 5th in the LIV standings, and there were genuine conversations about whether the PGA of America might grant him a special exemption. It did not happen. One of the most fascinating comeback stories golf has seen in years will not include a return to major championship golf in 2026. Now for the player who was very much present and who had everyone watching for a very different. Rory McIlroy arrived at Aronimink as the 2-time reigning Masters champion and one of the most heavily discussed figures of, but he arrived with a problem. A blister had formed under the nail of his right pinky toe during the 2nd round of the Truist Championship at Quail Hollow. I got a blister on my pinky toe on my right foot, but it's underneath my nail, so I can't really get to it. So it's a little sore, but I'll be all right, McIlroy said after last week's tournament. By Sunday at Quail Hollow, he was visibly limping. On Tuesday at Aronimink, McIlroy began his practice round but removed his shoe multiple times over the first 3 holes to examine his toe. He sat on the ground in the 3rd fairway to take his shoe off. After reaching the 4th tee, he made the decision to stop. He got into a cart and headed back to the clubhouse after just 3 holes. McIlroy told Irish media earlier that Tuesday that he had removed the nail on his pinky toe entirely and would be sizing up in shoes to limit the discomfort. By Wednesday, the picture had improved. McIlroy played 9 holes alongside Shane Lowry and Padraig Harrington without issue. I feel soft having a walk-in because of a little toe, McIlroy said after his Wednesday practice. He found his solution, cushioning around the pinky toe and a shoe a half size bigger on the right foot. Pleasantly surprised, he said. Walking downhill when the foot slides to the front of the shoe maybe gives me a bit of bother, but it's fine. All good. He had also made a prior scouting trip to Aronimink during Cadillac Championship week, giving him a foundation of course knowledge even without a complete practice. Thursday told a different story, though. McIlroy opened with a 4 over par 74, finishing with bogeys on his final 4 consecutive holes. After his round, the press conference moderator asked him to describe his opening round, and McIlroy needed just one word. He hit only 5 of 14 fairways in regulation and was clear about where the real problem was. I'm just not driving the ball well enough. It's been a problem all year for the most part. Asked whether the toe bothered him during the round, his answer was a flat no. With only 16 players posting worse scores than McIlroy after the morning wave, including Bryson DeChambeau, with a 6/76. The two-time reigning Masters champion was in genuine danger of missing the cut at the 2026 PGA Championship. When you pull back and look at everything happening at once, the missing legends, the injured risers, the ranking casualties, the LIV players on the outside looking in, and McIlroy's rocky start, the 2026 PGA Championship carries more weight than a typical second major of the season. Scottie Scheffler is chasing back-to-back titles and attempting to become the first repeat PGA champion since Brooks Koepka in 2018 and 2019. Jordan Spieth is making his 10th attempt at completing the career Grand Slam, currently sitting safely at 51st in the world. Jon Rahm is chasing something just as historic. Every major has been won by a Spaniard except the PGA Championship, and a Rahm victory would complete what Spanish golfers have been building toward for decades. And on the U.S. Open bubble, Ryo Hizitsun at 59th, Sami Valimaki at 60th, and Thomas Detry at 61st are all watching every leaderboard movement, knowing the top 60 in the world after this week earned spots at Shinnecock Hills in June. The 2026 PGA Championship is already one of the most layered tournaments of the season, and it has only just begun.